¿Qué tal, amigos de La Campesina? Los saluda Lego Rodríguez y les doy la bienvenida a un episodio especial de El Malcriado. Y es especial porque el día de hoy tenemos a una invitada de lujo. Nos acompaña la gobernadora de Arizona, Hobbs. Governor, thank you for being here with us at the Chavez Media and La Campesina.
Thank you so much for having me.
You being here, I believe it's like a signal of how important the Latino community is for you and your administration. Is that right, or how do you feel it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want to make sure we're able to reach all Arizonans, and this is certainly an important avenue to do that. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. And we are approaching the end of the year, and I know we're going to have like a ton of parties. You're probably going to have your Christmas party and everything, but I really wanted to know what Latino dish absolutely cannot be missing from your table these holidays.
Okay, so I was just at the Summerton Tamale Festival, and I know that it's such a traditional tradition at this time of year, and so I'm looking forward to tamales.
Yeah?
Yes.
I heard that you tried some new stuff. What's your favorite?
So I tried a pineapple tamale. First time I've had a sweet one before. It was delicious.
Never had a sweet tamale before?
No.
Yeah, pineapple tamales are really good. And we are ending 2025 and looking back, what would you say has been the highlight of your work for Arizona this year?
So I feel like we were able to deliver a lot for Arizonans this last year. Just today, we announced the next round of medical debt cancellation, which is a program I announced last year. But so far through this program, we've canceled over $600 million of medical debt for nearly 500,000 Arizonans. And I know this is huge for the folks who have that debt piling up and, causing them to make choices about not paying, the food they put on the table, paying their rent. So that's been great. We made significant progress on groundwater legislation this year, passed legislation that is going to keep jobs in Arizona, which is opportunities for Arizonans. We've invested in workforce, in childcare assistance, in services for families with kids who have developmental disability. So a lot to be proud of this year.
Yeah, and I also think that the medical debt was like one of the biggest moments for your administration this year. How significant do you think is that decision and the impact that you believe is going to have on Arizonans?
So when we first launched this program, it's designed to cancel up to $2 billion of medical debt. And it was estimated that there's about $2.4 billion in outstanding medical debt. So this is a big part of that. And for folks that we've talked to who have this kind of debt, it's crushing. And we heard a story from someone who had their debt canceled, and it was life-changing for her. She said she woke up every day with just an ache in her chest and doesn't have that anymore. And we know that Arizonans are struggling, and for folks who have this kind of debt, it's harder for them to get out from under it, harder for them to feel stability, and so this can be life-changing.
Yeah. Antes de continuar, recuerda suscribirte al canal de YouTube de La Campesina Oficial para ver más contenido como este y el show del Malcriado de lunes a viernes al mediodía. You also signed this year an executive order aiming to reducing taxes for middle-class Arizonans. How important will these measures be for the people?
So I'm hoping to get to work right away when the legislative session starts in January to deliver this relief for Arizonans. It will increase the standard deduction that every Arizonan can file for Arizonans who work for tips or work overtime. It will exempt those from taxes. There's a senior tax credit, as well as tax credit for interest on car loans. And with costs continue to go up for Arizonans, this is one way that we can provide relief.
Yeah. And for next year, I don't want to jump like so far, but water is going to be like one of the main issues, and also housing. And the agriculture to urban program just received its first approval.
Yep.
Can you explain to the people how this program works and how it will benefit Arizona communities?
Yes. So I'm very excited about this program. We fought for it through legislation, and as you mentioned, the first development was just certified. So what it allows is to transfer unused agricultural land, which is very high water use, into housing development. So it'll benefit some of our fastest growing communities like Buckeye, Queen Creek, Pinal County, where there's a lot of growth and where we need housing to meet that growth, and save millions of gallons of water. So that is a huge success of this last legislative session, but we're not done with groundwater. We fought for more protection for rural communities, and there's a bipartisan group of rural leaders that support this kind of change. We're still going to continue fighting for that change so that we can protect groundwater across the state of Arizona.
Okay. And 2025 has also been a very difficult year for Latino communities, especially with increased ICE activity and enforcement. What can the state of Arizona do to mitigate the federal government's aggressive approach toward our communities?
Yeah, I mean, this is a challenge for sure. And, as governor, I have been very clear. The president ran on going after the worst of the worst, deporting criminals, and that's where the focus should be. That is what actually serves to keep our communities safer. And instead, we're seeing deportation efforts that are indiscriminate, targeted at communities, people showing up to court and being targeted, people who have been in their community for a long time, who are contributing, who are paying taxes, who are following the law. And action against folks like that doesn't keep our communities safer. And so, I will continue to share that sentiment and be really clear that what I think I should be doing in terms of what their job is.
Yeah. And recently, for example, Pinal County announced it's cooperating with ICE under the 287G program. What's your stance on using the state and local resources to enforce federal immigration policy?
So last year, a bill went through the legislature that would have required every jurisdiction to enter a 287G agreement. I vetoed that bill because I think it should be up to local law enforcement where they want to use their resources. I will say the state has a 287G agreement through the Department of Corrections. So, if we have someone in custody that should be handled through ICE, then that's what will happen. But those decisions should be local, and they should be targeted at folks who are breaking the law.
Yeah. Is there anything else your administration can do to push back against these agreements?
We are focusing our efforts really on border security, and going after the criminal activity of the cartels, trafficking guns, humans, drugs into our country. And we've been really successful in those efforts. And that's where we've really tried to focus our attention and our partnerships with the federal government.
Yeah. Not pursuing like just regular Latinos.
Yes.
Yeah. And now, in a scale of 1 to 10, we have reviewed your 2025 basically right now. How would you rate your own performance as governor?
Look, I'm really proud of the things that we've accomplished. I know there's more to do. So I'm going to leave the rating to the voters who will get a chance to weigh in 2026. I have two sisters who are teachers, so they can give the grades. I just want to say I am focused on what I hear from Arizonans every day that we should continue to be working on at lowering costs, securing our water, creating good jobs, investing in education and workforce, and we'll continue to work on those things.
Okay. You don't want to rate yourself, but maybe can you rate the federal administration in 2025?
Well, I will tell you that they certainly have done a lot to make my job as governor harder. There's just been a lot of chaos, a lot of uncertainty The tariffs are raising costs for Arizonans. I hear from farmers, from small business owners, from families, just the uncertainty um, and the president seems absolutely tone deaf about how this is affecting people. It is a tax on Arizonans. That's been challenging. It's creating uncertainty in the economy, which is, creating waves everywhere else. So we're focused on ways to mitigate that, continue to bring investment to our state that's creating opportunity for Arizonans, making sure Arizonans can get those good paying jobs, and doing what I can to lower costs.
Okay, I like it. And this also has been like a crazy year in terms of misinformation, especially, artificial intelligence like content, and also even the federal government is spreading misinformation.
Yes.
So how important are media organizations like La Campesina at countering misinformation and keeping communities informed?
Yeah, I think it's very vital. I mean, right now, people tend to stay in their bubble and get their information from the places that are comfortable to them. And so the more that media sources can kind of break into that, and go outside of like the normal ways that people have traditionally consumed media, and get to the places where people are, is really critical.
Yeah. And have you ever felt frustrated about how traditional and digital media covers your work and your ability to lead?
I mean, it's always a kind of give-take relationship. We love the media when they do a great story, and then it's frustrating when we feel like they're not getting the right angle or whatever. But it is an important relationship, and I'm always going to do everything I can to be open and accessible to the media because it's an important way of how we share what we're doing. Certainly, the level of misinformation that's out there is really, I think it makes it harder for elected officials to do our jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's something that we can do better, especially here at La Campesina?
Oh, I think you guys are great. Really appreciate you having me in here. And, hopefully you'll have me back. So
I hope so. I hope so. We are going to look at 2026 because Arizona, once again, is going to be at the center of the national attention. And you are running for re-election.
Yes.
And on the Republican side, there are three possible candidates that have taken positions that could reverse the progress that has been made in recent years. How do you view the opposition that you're likely to face?
Well, it's hard to tell the difference between any of these three candidates. They're all really focused on being champions for some of the worst policies coming out of Washington, whether it's tariffs, whether it's the Medicaid cuts that are going to take healthcare away from hundreds of thousands of Arizonans, whatever it is. I will continue to be focused on Arizonans and doing what's right for them, putting them first. And, that's really the choice that voters will face next election. People who are focused on Washington's chaos and loyalty to an agenda, or someone who's focused on Arizona. And I'm always going to put Arizonans first.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. And we talked earlier about misinformation and fear-based messaging. How dangerous do you think groups like Turning Point are going to be for the next election?
Well, look, I was Secretary of State in 2020 when we saw so much misinformation about our elections. We saw people act on that misinformation. I had death threats against me and my family. My son was doxxed. I mean, it was a scary time. And that kind of misinformation has really pervaded. And I think it's unfortunately sort of a norm in politics these days. I, as an elected official, feel like I have a responsibility to do everything I can to tone down the rhetoric. And I feel like every elected official should do that. I'm not going to make some people change their behavior, but I think it's really important not to elevate a platform that encourages that kind of political violence or talk.
Yeah. This year was really tough for political violence and the division of the people. And there's apparently only two sides to choose. And it looks like that. Do you think that there's a way that we as a nation can mitigate that bipartisan view of America?
Yeah, I mean, that's really hard. And I think, I can't change everyone's behavior. I can only, act the way I think is appropriate. But what you're describing is exactly why when I look to tackle an issue like groundwater protection, I try to take the politics out of it because Arizonans are counting on me to deliver and to solve this really big challenge. And we're not going to do that if we just focus on the political divide. I'm willing to work with anyone to solve these challenges, and I will. And that's how I'm always going to keep operating. And hopefully, if I can bring enough people to the table, at some point, it'll shift the dialogue.
Yeah, okay, I hope so, because it's getting crazy.
Yeah.
And finally, what message would you like to send to Latino communities about how important their participation in next year election is going to be?
Yeah, I mean, we always say this election is the most important election in our lifetime, but I do feel we have really critical choices in front of us in this election. And we're faced right now with a federal government who is not focused on what's best for Arizonans. They ripped away healthcare to give big tax cuts to billionaires. They have imposed these tariffs. All kinds of other chaos that's really setting progress backwards. And the people running against me in 2026, that's what they're focused on. And I'm focused on doing what's right for Arizonans. And everyone who is worried about what's happening right now should absolutely participate in next year's election.
Okay, and that's Latinos.
Yes. Yep.
We need to get involved. So thank you, Governor, for being here with us today, and happy holidays. And you said you will be back.
Oh, absolutely. As much
And
as
it's recorded.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Amigos de la Campesina, muchas gracias por acompañarnos el día de hoy. Recuerden que el show del Malcriado está de lunes a viernes en vivo en el YouTube de la Campesina Oficial. Suscríbanse, piquen a la campanita para que les avise cuando tengamos nuevo contenido. Yo soy Lego Rodríguez y nos vemos la próxima.